this first cause, what do we know about it?
The Big Bang?
That nothing, the Big Bang. Well, was the Big Bang, was it caused or not caused? If it was caused, what caused it? And if it wasn't caused, why did it happen?
No, I don't know if I have the ability, if we have the ability to understand time.
Forget
how
about
time exists
understanding.
before
We have the
Big Bang.
ability to understand that it's impossible to reach an infinite succession of things.
Yeah.
And therefore, it's impossible to reach an infinite succession of causes. Therefore, we understand that the amount of causes that happened in the world were finite. That means mathematically there was a first cause.
Okay.
Now the question is, about this cause, it was not caused by anything. So it could not have popped into existence, because if it had a cause, then it's not the first cause. So it couldn't, time isn't its cause, so it has to be outside of time. Space couldn't cause it, so it has to be outside of time, outside of space. Nothing could have caused it. That means there's no reason. It means that there's nothing that makes it exist. Now that's a very strange concept, because everything in the world has some characteristics, attributes. It has depth, it has breadth, it has dimensions, but that would be a cause. You know, I'll show you what I mean. See, anything that is a certain way has a reason, has a cause, a reason why it's this way and not a different way. The reason why you have black hair and not blonde hair is there's a reason for that, right? Okay. Think in your mind of something that just pops into existence without a cause. Go ahead.
I can't.
Anything. Just imagine something popping into existence without a cause.
I can't. Yeah.
You can't? Imagine a cow, boom, popping into existence.
Oh, you're saying like in the world, right. Okay. In my imagination.
Imagine it, yeah.
That you're saying like imagine there being a case in which in the world something pops in. You're saying no, just imagine.
Imagine it.
Okay.
Okay, what did you imagine popping into existence?
You mentioned the cow, so that's what I did.
Okay. How many legs does that cow have?
4.
Why 4 and not 5?
Why?
Because you designed it that way. You decided that cow should have 4 legs and not 5. You decided it should be a cow and not a house. You decided it should be, say, brown and not black, whatever. So you can't even imagine something popping into existence without a cause, because you would have to design that thing.
Okay.
So something that's uncaused would have to have, can't be physical, would have no attributes, because anything that it has, you could say, why is it like this and not like that? So it's not any particular way, because you could always ask, why is it this way and not that way? So it has to be something that doesn't have any attributes such that you could ask, well, why is it not a different way? Obviously, it's beyond our ken. And anything that, and the reason is because we've only experienced the cause and effect world, and anything beyond our ken we can't imagine. Mathematically speaking, one of 2 things have to be true. Either space ends or it doesn't end. Either way, we can't conceptualize that. Because if it doesn't end, again, that becomes infinite. That doesn't make sense to us. And if it does end, what's after space? There's nothing. Right. So the fact that we can't conceptualize anything doesn't mean it can't be. And we cannot, just like we live in a cause and effect world, we cannot conceptualize something that we never lived in. Because we live in a cause and effect world, we cannot conceptualize the first cause. It's above time, it's above space, it's not bound to time, not bound to space. Yet, it caused something. It caused everything else, or it caused the next cause that caused everything else. But what made it do that? What caused it to make something? Well, it can't be anything, because it's impervious to any causes. And therefore, you have something without any attributes, beyond time, beyond space, or let's not say beyond, let's use a better word, not bound to time, not bound to space, with no actual attributes, that works on free will totally, because it acted, but it could not have acted because of something. So that acted on its free will totally. Now, this first cause can never change, because if it changes, then 2 things. That means it's subject to time, because change means before and after. And 2, that means that it has some attributes. Because if it changes, it also can't be more than one. Because in order to have quantity, in order to have more than one, there has to be some boundaries that say, and this is the boundary of one, and now from here, the next one is two. But if we're talking about something without boundaries, then it can only be one. There cannot be two. Not because there happens not to be two, because there can't. Also, this thing never could not have existed. When you say something, this shelf happens to exist, but in theory, it could have not existed. Whatever was its cause is why it exists as opposed to not existing. But this first cause could never have not existed. Since nothing caused it, it had to exist by its own, on its own merits, on its own nature, whatever you want to call it. It could never have not existed. It can only be one, and it works totally on free will without anything prompting it. So we have a name for that. We call that God. No Trinity, because that's a quantification already. Really, obviously, we can't imagine what this thing is. This first cause, we'll call it, or the necessary existence. We only know really what it can't be, but it's not. It's not physical. It's not subject to time. It's not subject to space. Nothing affects it, cannot change, doesn't age, nothing, and could never have not existed. Different type of existence than, you can't even compare it to our existence. Our existence means it exists, in theory, it happens to exist. Theoretically, it could have not existed. This could never have theoretically not existed. Now, why did it create everything? Well, one thing's for sure. There are only two things in existence, this first cause and the things it caused. Mm-hmm. There's nothing else. The reason it caused it could not have been for its own sake, because it can't gain, it cannot change, it cannot be quantified, so it makes no sense to have been created for a benefit. You can't benefit something that's totally simple without any quantifications. There's no place to put the benefit. A benefit isn't a concept that applies to this first cause. So the only other possibility, certainly the best philosophical explanation, is that created it for the benefit of the creations. Say create for no reason doesn't make too much sense. It wanted on its own will.
How could you possibly know what it wanted?
Because mathematically, when you say wanted, it means it wanted to create something. It wanted to create something.
Really?
It did.
What do you mean by want?
Because
why do you think that it has things like why do you think that the notion of want applies? Like we don't even know what infinity is.
It has nothing. I didn't say anything about infinity. Yeah. It's not a question of it's infinity.
This notion is so beyond our comprehension that to
no, but we know what it's not. It could not have. It could not have done it. The first cause. The first cause.
Things.
The first cause could not have it. One, it did create something, and two, it could not have created it for any other reason than total free will. It freely did it for no reason. I mean, nothing made it do it. Nothing motivated it to do it, because it's impervious to motivations and it's impervious to force.
And it has motivations?
It doesn't. I mean, it had one thing we know, certainly not in the sense that we have, because motivations means something acts upon me and triggers a desire for me to do something. Yeah. But this thing, nothing can act upon it. When I say I'm motivated, it means I gain something. Even if I'm totally altruistic, I gain a feeling, or I gain, but nothing impacts it like that. This is a new type of altruism, if that you could use that word. That's where it's beyond our imagination. But the fact is, the mathematical fact, that it did create something, not because it gained anything, not because it felt anything, not because it was motivated in any way whatsoever. and it didn't gain anything by it. The most logical reason is because by doing so, forget the word want if you don't like it. All words we use in regard to this first cause are only a manner of speaking, right?
Yeah.
We should be speaking in terms of what this first cause did not do. Mm-hmm. It was not made to do it. It was not forced. It was not motivated to do it. It did it. Mm-hmm. Can't get out of that. And it gains nothing by it. If there was a reason that it did it, and it did do it.
It did it. Yeah.
What?
No, I think if I try to dissect this, like you said the first thing you asked when I said, "Can you tell me how you know God wrote the Torah?" The first thing you said is, "Do you have all night?" And I don't.
Okay.
I appreciate this. I mean, because I want to get to the other stuff, and as you're saying this, I think I appreciate this explanation. I think my point of disagreement. I'm gonna
what
debate.
disagreement?
I
So
mean,
far,
well, no, I'd have
to
to
disagree so far.
Because my disagreement would be this, like, we're not gonna get to the bedrock of it. My disagreement would be like this philosophical thing of, well, how do we know that
don't use want. Don't use want. Don't use need. I didn't use any of those words. I didn't say any of those things.
No, but I disagree fundamentally that we can attribute motive, full stop.
That we can't attribute motive.
That we can attribute.
We can't. I didn't say we can.
No, you said it's motivated.
No,
but
I didn't.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying
I
you're
did
wrong.
not say that. I said it was not motivated by anything.
You're saying it wanted.
I said if you don't like to use want, we won't use the word want. No, on the contrary, there are no human attributes.
The idea that God created people in order to benefit people.
By process of elimination, did God create people in order to benefit God? No.
I don't think the word benefit applies to God.
I agree.
I don't have a word that I can use.
I agree, but God could not have changed, so it could not have been for any reason that involves God, because He doesn't change.
It could be a reason beyond our comprehension.
It doesn't. No,
like
it can't,
God.
because this first cause cannot change. It's not subject to time or space. Without time, there's no change.
Okay.
Without attributes, there's no change. So if there's no change, that means the creation could not have affected this creator at all.
Yeah.
So the only thing it affected was the creations. It did not affect the creator at all. On the contrary, I'm not using the word want. I'm not using the word want. If I do, put it in quotation marks. Okay? On the contrary, I am eliminating any human attributes, any human at all and the only thing we can know about this is what it is not. I agree with you. It does not motivate. It does not want in the sense that we want. We want something because there's something called desire that we have. And if we get what we want, we accomplish something for us.
Yeah.
That doesn't apply to the first cause. It's impossible. That being the case, the only thing that could possibly have a purpose, the only thing that ends up with a purpose are the creations. There's no purpose that involves the first cause for making the other causes. The purpose has to lie in the creation. I use the word benefit of creations for that. You could say purpose if you want, but it doesn't make any sense to say that this first cause would make creations to harm them, because it doesn't make any sense. Why?
None of it makes any sense.
No.
Why would I care if humans get benefited?
Hold on. Wait. Hold on.
Harm them versus benefit them.
Wait. Hold on. Yeah. You're asking. None of it makes any sense.
I'm saying the idea that it wouldn't create it to harm them, but it would create it to benefit them. Why would it create it to benefit them and not to harm them?
Well, what purpose serves in harming?
What purpose serves in helping?
It serves the creations.
What is it? But what purpose does that serve the Creator?
It doesn't. The Creator did it purely altruistic reasons, obviously.
Why did He what? But they're suffering in the world. I mean, I'm just saying.
Whoa, hold on. No, you wait. So far, but they're suffering in the world doesn't mean you disagree with the statement. You say you have a question about it.
No, but he wants to create people for the benefit of creation.
No, let's be more precise. He did create a creation. He could not
Yeah.
have created it for any purpose that involves the creator. It makes no sense in terms of a purpose to create just to harm. Only sadists do that. It wouldn't make sense. Instead, the only sense that it makes is that there's some purpose. You can call it benefit. I'm not associating benefit with pleasure yet, but benefit, purpose. I'm using those two words the same. Okay? If you prefer purpose, we can use that. For the creation, there has to be a purpose for the sake of that involves the creation, a purpose.